G'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds. Well, 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 g'day curd nerds, and welcome to another episode of Ask the Cheeseman. This is episode 144. Yes, we've done lots of them now, haven't we? And thank you all for joining me. At the moment, I've got 46 people watching. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Shout outs today. New YouTube members, Roger Swayze. Thank you, Roger, for your YouTube membership. And California Jones. Thank you, California, for your kind monthly support. Also on Patreon, we've got Winred Tammy. Thank you, Winred. And Rachel Maya. Thank you, Rachel. And of course, Catherine. Thank you all for becoming monthly patrons and YouTube members. And thanks to all of the patrons and YouTube members that are on the stream at the moment watching the show. They keep the show running so that Kim and I can get up on our lovely Sunday mornings and do the show. Okay, the the cheese video for this week, I've nearly finished it. It's taking a little bit of a while because Kim hasn't been well. So marinated feta or Persian feta is the next video that will be released. I haven't tried it yet because I'm just waiting 2 weeks for the marinade to finish. There will be a Morbier taste test very soon. I think that's going to happen next week because it's ready. I've still been washing it. It does smell a fair bit in the cheese fridge. So, yeah, that's a little bit smelly. But hopefully once the it air dries for a little bit, I'll let it air dry for a day before we taste it. But hopefully, fingers crossed, everything will be all good. Okay, first super chat of the day, Jim Jackson. Thank you, Jim. Just like to see the lights flash. So do I. Absolutely fantastic. I better stop them before somebody goes into convulsions. But there we go. Thank you, Jim, for your $5 super chat. Okay, cheese. Also, another video will be done on a cheese platter. We've got a cheese platter in the fridge, ready to go, and we'll get down to filming that soon. I know I've been promising it for ages, but the good thing is the cheese doesn't go off, so that's pretty cool. Okay, let's say g'day to some of the wonderful people. We've got, new member. I haven't seen that badge before. G'day, Arthur. Thank you for being a new member. That's wonderful to see during the show. Okay, let's go and say some g'days or some hellos for whichever language you speak. G'day to Ruth. Thank you, Ruth, for popping in today. Belgian Swede. Jason. G'day, Jason. Who else we got? Oh, Gavin Weber, that's me. We got Ambrose. G'day, Ambrose. John Miller Sr. Dwayne, Luke, somebody, Godless Anarchist, Stephanie, Gypsy. G'day, Gypsy. Dominic, good to see you, mate. Get to your question in a minute. Mahmood, I think that's how you say it. G'day, Mahmood. William, Vern. G'day, Vern. Frank, Tamer, Arthur, Jim, of course, Bob, Sean, Arthur, Tor, I think that's how you say it. And we've got another super chat, which is from Hens. G'day, Hens, and there's no message for that one. We'll just kill the light. Okay, thank you for your kind £2.99 super chat. Also, I think, who else we got? Did I miss some people? I think I did. Patricia, g'day Patricia, and we've got a lovely photo of Patricia to show today on the cheese gallery. We've got Kim, of course, who is the moderator for the show today. Larry from Deep South Texas, and let's get Glam. Very cool. Rocky, lovely to see you again, mate. Monique, g'day Monique from Sydney. Martin and Adba, I think that's how you say it. We'll get to your question soon. Adriana, Shane. Oh, they're all coming in now. My goodness, so many people. Now, if I haven't got you, I'll get to your question when I get there. So let's get on with the questions. It'll be very interesting today. Oh, one thing I forgot to say, and that is yesterday was my birthday. So I'm getting on. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. But you can probably guess from last year's show if you go and watch it. But yeah, yesterday was my birthday, 23rd of May. In some parts of the world, it still is my birthday. So that would be, that'd be cool if I could have a birthday that lasted a whole 48 hours. Very cool. Anyway, so let's get down to business. Now, I've had some requests from that Lauda mould, the Gouda mould that I used. As you know, it's quite expensive, and I need to talk to Lauda and see if they'll offer any discounts. I also noticed that they don't ship to Australia. And the countries they do ship to, very minimal. They do ship to the US, which is good, but I'm trying to get a discount code from them. I do think they're quite expensive. I'm not going to pull any punches there. But for what you get, it's a sturdy mould. It'll last forever. If you're in the commercial cheese making business and you make cheeses every single day, the mould will stand up to the rigours of the commercial process. I think no problems at all. It is solid as a rock. But at 174 euros, it's quite expensive. I think in Australian dollars, that's about 230, I think. So yeah, it's getting up there. But I'm going to talk to Lauda and see if they can either offer us a discounts code, ship to more countries, or offer me a wholesale price. So I don't know if they do that. And if they do, I may, no promises, I may get some in our store and see if I can offer a comparable price. But we'll see. I'll do some investigation. I'll do some talking as well. So we've got another super chat there. This one's from, hasn't popped up. It's from Kate. Thank you, Kate, for your kind $2 super chat. And a happy birthday in there. That's lovely. Right, so shall we get to some questions, shall we? Let's have a look. What's the first question? Okay, Belgian Swede says, in regards to a Swiss-style cheese, do I have to wax it or can I leave it in a maturation box? Thanks for everything you do for the cheese-making community. Well, first of all, thanks, Belgian Swede. For your question, look, I do prefer to wax it because when I do that eye formation phase at room temperature, I tend to leave it on the side. And we got another super chat. So I don't want any dust or anything getting on it. A ripening box, it'll be too humid. I like to let the rind dry out a little bit. It just helps preserve it a bit. We've got a super chat from Ruth as well. Ruth says, happy birthday, Gavin. It's still your birthday here in, I think you're in San Francisco. You are a lot younger than me. Lots more cheeses to make. Keep it up. Thank you so much, Ruth. Appreciate those birthday wishes. Anyway, back to the question for Belgian Swede. Yeah, so I just leave it up on, see that white shelf up there? That's where I sit the Jarls, when I'm making a Jarlsberg or a Emmentaler. So the warm period where it has 2 to 3 weeks at eye formation, that's where I leave it. I leave it in wax. That way I can see the expansion. I don't lose it in the cheese fridge or anything like that. It needs to be about 18 degrees Celsius anyway, which is normal room temperature in our house, so it's no big deal. But yeah, I suppose you could leave it in a maturation box. However, the higher the moisture content of the air around it, obviously the humidity, the more it could get infected by mold. So just need to take that into consideration. I've seen people vacuum pack it, but I think that probably is not a good idea. You're not going to get the eye formation that you're after. You're not going to get decent size eyes in that Swiss style cheese. because you got the atmospheric pressure, because you got the thing in a vacuum, the cheese in a vacuum. The atmospheric pressure is pressing all the time onto the rind of the cheese, and it's not allowing for expansion. That's my theory anyway. Anyway, great question though. Ambrose says, hello Gavin and Kim, hope you're both doing well. I recently got a small goat's brie from the supermarket, and when I cut it open, it had a large air bubble that was slightly coated in white mould that was similar to the rind. Wasn't sure what was causing that and wonder if you know. I think that air bubble in the middle, I think the rind must have been compromised, because the only way for white mould to get inside of a white mould cheese is to have air be able to get in there. That Penicillium candidum needs oxygen to develop. So, yeah, the rind must have been compromised at some stage. Could have been left at a higher temperature than a normal refrigeration after it was mature. That could have happened as well. And it depends on the manufacturer. If they used a gas-producing starter culture, then that could have expanded the cheese in the middle, and therefore compromising the rind of the cheese, so the white mould. So there's a few ideas, Ambrose, whether they're right or not, not sure. Anyway, John Miller Sr. says, so as always, praying for your family, and I recently got some fresh horseradish root, so I made a kind of sauce with your stirred curd cheddar. I made a horseradish cheddar. We'll see how it turns out. That'll be very interesting, John. Send me a photo when you finish, mate. And you can send photos if you go to the About page of the YouTube channel. There's the email address. You can send me stuff straight away. Okay, Luke says, oh, I've never seen you live before. Well, there you go, Luke. Here I am. Dominic says, good morning, Gavin. Hope you are doing good. Would you think of stocking the Louder basket that you used in your last Gouda video? I think I talked about that already, but yeah, thinking about it, mate, thinking about it. Might be some logistics behind that, that's for sure. William says, hey Gavin, there's a Gouda called Midnight Moon. Let's have a quick look. Best cheese I've ever had. Can you find the recipe? Well, it'll be standard Gouda recipe, and they'll probably do something funky to it. Let's have a look. Midnight Moon. Aged 6 months or more, Midnight Moon is a blushing ivory-coloured goat's cheese that is nutty and brown, buttery up front with a long caramel finish. Similar to Gouda, as Midnight Moon ages, protein crystals form and tend a slight crunch to the otherwise dense and smooth cheese. Very interesting. So it's Gouda style, made with goat's milk. So I have actually had, I've got on my list to make a goat's milk Gouda. I actually did reach out to a goat's milk producer, and I haven't heard back from them. So if anybody has any contacts with, what's the name? Caprolac is the company here in Victoria. If anybody knows anybody in Caprolac, I've been trying to contact them to do a featured video or a sponsored video. I'd like to use their product to make a goat's milk Gouda. That was one I was thinking of, and maybe even a goat's milk cheddar. I'd love to give it a go, but yeah, if they don't reach back to me or don't answer me back, it's not going to happen. So yeah, if anybody's got any contacts in the industry, then yeah, give us a shout. That would be great. Frank says, hi Gavin, tomorrow I'm going to try for the first time to make cheese. It will be a Gouda. You were stating not to use chlorinated water. What about the chlorine ions from the calcium chloride regarding Frank? Chlorine in water is totally different than the chlorine ions that attach to the calcium ions once they're released from the from calcium chloride. Calcium chloride is a mineral salt. It has nothing to do with chlorinating your water. Chlorine, or what's it better known as, bleach, sodium hypochlorite, totally different chemical. It destroys in its native mode, destroys lactic bacteria, whereas the chlorine or chloride, not chlorine, chloride ions that are released from adding calcium chloride to your milk does not affect the starter cultures. Okay, and the other reason, the main reason we don't use chlorinated water when we dilute our rennet and our calcium chloride is because chlorine in the water destroys the rennet action, so it stops coagulation, so there's no point in adding that water. So if you've got a Brita filter or some sort of filter on your taps or what have you, or even a rainwater tank, then use that sort of water. I just used pure water I get in a cardboard box, which has had the chlorine filtered out of it, and that works very well. And I wash. That's what I wash the cheese with as well, to make sure that when you're making a washed rind cheese, if you use chlorine in the water, I find it tends to have the final mature cheese has a big fissure in the middle of the cheese, so it can lead to the creation of what's known as butyric acid, which off-gasses CO2 and creates a big crack in your cheese. So yeah, so there's that as well. Anyway, moving right along. Don't get the two confused. Jim says, "G'day to the king and queen of curd herd." Kim, hope you are feeling a bit better, at least a little. Yeah, she's going to go back to bed as soon as the light. I didn't drag her out of bed. I just asked if she'd wanted to do the show, and she jumped at the chance. She's a lovely lady, but she's going to go back to bed as soon as the show's finished. Jim says, "I bought my Curd Nerd mug yesterday." Well done. Good on you, Jim. There's my Curd Nerd mug. There is a smaller one that comes on Teespring. This one's from Cafe Press. But yeah, very cool. And you should have got the complimentary, well, not complimentary, the accompanying T-shirt as well. Go the Curd Nerds. Very cool. Tor has a question and says, "Dear Gavin, how harmful is unwanted mould to cheese? Waxed compared to not waxed? How much mould is allowed before cleaning?" Goodness me, there's 6 questions in one sentence. Can vinegar replace brine when cleaning? Typical reasons for unwanted mould. All right, so let's start at the beginning. Let's start at the last question. Typical reasons for unwanted mould. Lack of sanitation, lack of hygiene, not washing your hands, not spraying your hands with vinegar, not cleaning your equipment. Let me think, what else? Having a dirty area where you're making your cheese. So there's a few things. Having a dirty ripening box. They're all things that will cause unwanted moulds on your cheese. However, some moulds are naturally occurring in the air around us. So, and they do like a bit of humidity. So if the humidity's too high in your ripening box, that's another reason you can get unwanted mould. So there's a few things. How harmful is unwanted moulded cheddar? Not very, unless it's black mould. Black mould's the one to watch out for. There are a couple of other ones that are not so bad. So yeah, there's a yellow mould and there's a pink mould as well. Both of those you can scrape off, it's no big deal. But black mould, the roots of that mould go very deep into the cheese. So if you do get it, cut a fair chunk off of the cheese or try and wipe it down with a simple brine solution with, so I put a cup of water, of non-chlorinated water, a tablespoon of salt and a teaspoon of vinegar. Mix that up. It's not very much, 250 mils or 1 cup, and basically that combination dampens down the surface and makes it not incompatible with mold growth, but it slows it down, and you'll see that cheese ripens naturally with lots of molds on it. If you go and have a look at jump onto YouTube after this, don't go now, but if you go and have a look at how traditional cheddar's made, you'll see that's got mould all over the outer bandaging of the cheese. If you go and have a look at how any other cheese is made and naturally ripened, they've got moulds all over them. It's no big deal as long as the black mould doesn't take root. And like I said, if you think that you've got too much mould on the outside of your cheese during the affinage period or the ripening period, then simply wipe it down with a simple brine solution. If you need to wax it, then wax it. Waxing protects the cheese a lot better than not waxing, obviously. Vacuum packing also can help. You don't need oxygen to develop some cheeses, especially the semi-hard and the harder cheeses. Any mould-ripened cheeses, obviously you do need oxygen, or the mould won't grow. How much mould is allowed before cleaning? Well, you saw my cheddar video, the cloth bandage cheddar. It was covered in mould, but that was just on the outside surface. So no big deal if you're making a cheddar. Anyway, hopefully that answers all your questions. Okay. Patricia has a joke. Riddle of the day. Why do cows have hooves? Because they lack toes. Oh, that's nice. Good one. Thanks, Patricia. Ruth says, I need the 99 ways with whey now that I have my 20-litre pot. Okay, I'll make that a priority, Ruth. In fact, I'll get that done after the marinated feta, because I have it half done, actually. It was going to be 10 ways with whey. I think I'm up to 16 or 17 ways with whey. I'm just writing that down so I don't forget. But I have promised it for a while. Let's get on with that, shall we? Hello, Rocky says, hello, Gavin. Got my torque curry. I didn't make a torque curry size. That'd be torque curdy, I would think. Nice one, Rocky. Wrong size. Ordered another. Hope it gets to me soon in Florida. Thanks for your videos. I'm now a rock star with my family regarding all things cheese. Well done, mate. Well done indeed. I bought some t-shirts as well. I bought one of the latest quote I had, the old wine, old cheese, and old friends make great company. I actually bought 2 of those. What possessed me to buy 3 extra larges got me buggered, because they were like tents and they didn't fit. So I'm actually going to give them away very soon. So I'm going to set up a giveaway before the next show. So the giveaway, and everybody will have the link and they can go and get it, and I'll ship it anywhere in the world. What's t-shirts? Yeah. Okay, cool. Right, reminder for Gav, do a giveaway before the next show. So we'll do that. Okay, Monique says, hi Gavin and Kim. I haven't made a cheese with Brevibacterial linens yet. What's the best one in your opinion? In your opinion, Monique, the best one without as much fuss for me was Tilsit. It's a thermophilic style cheese. It's a lot firmer than your normal Brick and Limburger and Morbier and what's some of the other ones? That'll do. Port Salut. So they're all using a mesophilic culture, whereas the Tilsit uses a thermophilic culture. The curd's the paste is a lot firmer, a lot less prone to a really runny paste. It's a firm one, which is nice. It's spongy. Taste is phenomenal. That was the first smear cheese that I ever made, or the red smear, or washed rind cheese, as they're known. So that was the first one I ever made. So that was very good. It was a great choice because it wasn't a failure. It worked well. It did flatten a lot because the Brevibacterial linen makes the paste go smoother. That's its purpose, to ripen the cheese. So try that one out. There's a recipe, Kim, if you can pop the recipe up for the Tilsit, please, and share that for Monique. Martin says, hello both, hope you are well and healthy. I bought your ebook with recipes. If you will update some of them, do I need to buy a new one, or will it be updated automatically somehow free of charge? I don't do many updates, but what I do, Martin, is anybody who's on my Little Green Workshops email list, if I do an updated recipe, I send it out via that mailing list. In fact, I sent a an updated feta recipe the other day to all of the people that had bought the book via Little Green Workshops. Unfortunately, people who download it on their phone via Apple iBooks or Amazon, I don't know their email addresses, so I cannot give them update. Even if I uploaded a new version to Amazon or Apple iBook store, people don't get it automatically. It just doesn't work that way. So unfortunately, the only way to do that and to get updated recipes is to join the Little Green Workshops mailing list. You can go over to littlegreenworkshops.com. I'll show you the link. I'll bring it up. Here we go. So if you go to littlegreenworkshops.com.au, and right down the bottom of the page, after all the good pictures of cheese and stuff, you can go down here. Oh, can you see it? Yeah, there we are. It says sign up for our newsletter and product updates. So you subscribe to our newsletter down here in this box, and bingo boingo, you'll get updates and stuff. I can specifically target people who have bought individual products. So I can target just the people who have bought either the ebook or the booklet that I make, which is the paper version of the ebook. So yeah, that's when recipe updates happen. I've only done 2. I did one for kefili, I think, a while ago. It was just a minor change, and the feta recipe, which I've done recently. And people seem to enjoy that. They do enjoy the recipe updates when I do them. Okay. But however, there is, and I keep saying there's a new book. I've actually got a new book, and it's actually still being written, and because chaos always ensues, there's always something that delays it. I did promise it by March, and it's now the end of May, so that's not happening. But yeah, I'll have to get some time when I'm not the sole person. Well, Kim does help in the shop at the moment, but it's just, business is crazy. People are buying so much stuff from our shop, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's a great thing. It just doesn't allow me to write the book. Of the second edition of, Keep Calm and Make More Cheese is the title of the next book. And there are a whole bunch of recipes. I think it's 56 currently. Probably be more. I keep adding more on. I don't know when to stop. But anyway, well, I'm moving right along. I'll get away from that subject. Okay. Adva says, thanks for your video tutorials. I have a question about rennet. Can I replace it with something else from Algeria? Unfortunately not. You need rennet if you're going to make a rennet-based cheese. Otherwise, you'll be stuck with soft cheeses and acid set cheeses. So really, you cannot use, you cannot replace rennet with anything. Rennet has a purpose in cheese making, and that's to coagulate the milk and form the casein protein matrix that forms the curd. Okay, Shane says, g'day bud, g'day mate. Patricia has a question. Says, I've started using clean hands, no cloth, to wash my latest cheese, Tilsit, and getting a much better rind formation, better mould control than with previous cheeses. Your thought on bare hands, Gavin? Look, whatever floats your boat, Patricia, I think that works. I actually have seen in a Limburger video of the commercial process, and that's what they do. Obviously, they don't have rings on or anything, but they use their hands, and they just go from one cheese to the next and wipe it over, put their hand in the brine to make sure they're wet, and they just wipe it over and go to the next cheese, and that transfers the Brevibacterium linens to every cheese as they go along. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, you can get your hands, and it probably would give you better control, because using a cloth, kind of wiping off some of the red mold, so that may be a hassle, and maybe the problem. But yeah, using your hands, you're just smearing it all over. So yeah, why not? As long as you wash your hands afterwards, because they'll smell like smelly socks. Witrem, that's how I'm going to say it. Blessings for you and your family. Love your cheese and the channel. Keep going. Send blessings to Mexico. Blessings to Mexico. Kim snuck in there. He said he won't tell you, but it was Gavin's birthday yesterday. Well, I did tell everybody, honey. One thing I can't see is the timestamp. Where are the timestamps? Oh, there we go. That's a bit better. You can see where I'm up to. Okay. Hens says, I love the channel, Gav. Thanks, Hens. Luke says, hi there, Luke. Michael, Jamie, and Kate. Hello, everybody. Arthur says, good day, Gavin. I'm from Brazil, but I've lived in Australia for a year. Your accent brings me fond memories. Thanks, mate. Gary, g'day, mate. Marianne, nice to see you again. Martin, thank you, mate, for your birthday things. Arthur says, my wife is encouraging me into becoming a cheese maker as well. Well done, Arthur. We've got a super chat, and the light's gone off from Quizler. Whoops, hang on, let me just turn that off. Quizler says, love the videos, wish you and Kim the best. Thank you very much, Quizler, and thank you for your kind $6 super chat. I appreciate it. Luke says, my first live chat. Thanks. Well done, Luke. Thanks for turning up on this Sunday morning or whatever time it is where you are. Meep says, happy birthday, my man. Thanks, Meep. And Vern says, happy birthday. And everybody says happy birthday. Thank you so much. Laura has a question somewhere. Here we are. Laura says, hey, Gavin, I have a 5-month-old cow's milk Gouda, your recipe, which just started to expand and puff. Is this late blowing? Is this another cheese fail? Yeah, could be. It depends on the starter culture you used, of course. Hopefully there's no CO2 forming lactic bacteria within it. So maybe check your starter culture to start with. It could be late blowing, which is that fissure I'm talking about. And one way to prevent it, there's two ways to prevent late blowing. One is to use non-chlorinated water when you wash your curds, when you're doing that washing process of the Gouda. The other way is to use this stuff called, and it's made from egg whites. It's on the commercial market, very hard to find in home cheese making supplies. I can't find it here in Australia. It's called Lysolac, which is, like I said, made from egg whites. And you put in, I think it's such a minuscule amount for 10 litres. Let me just remember. Something like an 1/8 of a teaspoon for 10 litres of milk stops the development of butyric acid, which causes that late blowing. So if you can find some Lysolac, or didn't use non-chlorinated water in your wash, that could be the problem. Lots more happy birthdays. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. We got something. Somebody asked me what's my favourite cheese somewhere. It's got to be here somewhere. Where is it? Adela. I think that's how you say it. Adela. That'll do. Adela. Happy birthday. Question, what's my favourite cheese? All the cheeses. That is all the cheeses. So that's very cool. Arthur says that's almost 700 BRL. What's 700 BRL? Still your birthday? No. Can't see. No, tonight. Hens says, Gavin, do you reverse engineer store-bought cheese? Is that possible? It is if you've been making cheese for a little while. And there's another super chat. Let's just, whoops, wrong camera, wrong button. Let's, oh, there we go. We fixed it. Where's your super chat gone? G'day, Patricia. Thank you for your $2 super chat. Is Little Green Workshop shipping internationally yet? Not as yet, unfortunately. Still a delay on that. Australia Post, who is our international carrier, has not reinstated pickup from our business address, which is very tardy of them because all the domestic couriers are still picking up. And we do ship domestically with Australia Post as well, because sometimes they're cheaper, but they're definitely the cheapest. And yeah, Kim's just said that down below. Thanks, Kim, for amplifying on that. It's such a pain, and it really does break my heart that I can't send out stuff to all of my international curd nerds, which is well, I'm not going to say the vast majority, it's a big portion of our business. So it makes me sad. Anyway, I've been on them every week. When are you going to reinstate it? When are you going to reinstate it? Restrictions have been lifted slightly here in Victoria and the rest of Australia, but not too bad. But you go outside and you wouldn't think there are any restrictions at all. It's just crazy. And people are getting infected in the second wave like there's no tomorrow. So that's always a bit of a problem. Kim and I are trying to stay away from it because with Kim's immune system being compromised from the chemotherapy, we definitely do not want her to catch COVID-19. I don't want anybody to catch it. So anyway, stay safe, everybody. Stay safe. Anyway, back to the questions. Reverse engineering store-bought cheese. Yeah, kinda. Very hard without chemical analysis, but from using different starter cultures and the like, over the years, you kind of get a feel for which one they've kind of used, at least the style. So if they've used a mesophilic or a thermophilic or maybe an aromatic mesophilic, from experience of making many cheeses of what happens to your cheese and the flavours of the cheese. So you can kind of tell. You can also tell what moulds they've used, if they've used any moulds. And the style. Look, lots of cheeses have different styles. So, you've got your basic styles, you've got your fresh cheeses, you've got your semi-hard, you've got your washed rind, you've got hard cheeses, you've got Alpine-style cheeses, you've got washed curds, washed rind, and your mould-ripened cheeses. So you can kind of figure out what family it sits in and try and find a recipe that kind of replicates that. So, all cheeses are a variation on a theme, basically. They all use milk. Most of them use starter cultures, and most of them use rennet. So it's not that hard once you've had a little bit of experience. Capture says, Shalom, Ola, salute, hello, how are you? Belgium Sweet says, thanks Gavin, I bought one of the louder moulds. I let them know I did because of your YouTube video. Thank you, Belgian Sweet. Maybe they will give me a discount code next time. Luke says, my question is, what is the best cheese to make without a press? Your Shropshire Blue was made without a press, wasn't it? It was, in theory. I actually did press the Shropshire Blue near the end because I just couldn't get it to knit together. As one of those cheeses where I had to make it up as I went along. A good one without a press is Bel Paese. Bel Paese is one of those cheeses that you can mature in the kitchen fridge. It uses, you use good milk, cow's milk, and you use a thermophilic culture. So it tends to hold together a lot better. Try Bel Paese. Kim, if you can find the recipe for Bel Paese and pop that up for Luke, and you'll find that it is a very nice tasting cheese. It's one of my favourites, actually. Galius says, Gavin, have you ever tried to make a whole milk, low moisture mozzarella? A lot of people consider making the perfect pizza cheese. It can be hard to get hold of. Would love to see you making it. I have actually done that. So if you go and check out the traditional mozzarella recipe, and Kim, you're going to have to find that somehow, traditional mozzarella recipe, then that is a style of cow's milk, low moisture mozzarella that does melt very well. To get it even lower moisture, you just let it hang it and let it air dry for a week, and then a lot more of the moisture comes out of it, and it's perfect for grating. You can put it on pizzas and it tastes delicious. So there is a whole milk version of mozzarella that I made in the traditional style without buffalo milk, obviously. And we have another super chat, which is so cool. Thank you so much. Let's go and have a look what it is. $2 from Paul. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. There doesn't seem to be a message there. But thank you, Paul. I really appreciate it. Okay. Back up the chat again. I've got to find where I was. So Shane says, does anybody sell cheese maturation fridge/box in Australia? I'm a newbie. Yes, well, you're a newbie, so you probably wouldn't know that we do have all that stuff at littlegreenworkshops.com.au. Let me just go back to the cheese making section. So we have a look on our store. I'm not wanting to plug all the products all the time, but yes, we do have maturation boxes. I'll just find them. You wouldn't think we've got quick internet here, but right, so there's one style here. This one's made by Mad Millie. It's got a mat in it as well. It's inexpensive. It's okay. It's good for taller cheeses rather than smaller cheeses, but I prefer the, let me go back and find the other one. Where's my red ripening box? This one's my favourite. This one here, you can put 4 camemberts in, no problems at all. So this is the red ripening box wide. It's made by Decor Australia. It's 3.5 litres in capacity, and it works very well. So yeah, so there's 2 ripening boxes that we use. I think that's what you're after. If you're after a cheese fridge, get any fridge and get an external thermostat and you're fine. Okay, Dominic says, hey, do you ever go to Bendigo? Not at the moment, mate, we don't. No, we don't go anywhere. I know somebody with a goat that could probably deal with you for some milk. If they're a commercial proposition, then we could probably do a deal. Mates rates, I'd have to check the... I'm not saying I don't trust your source of milk, Dominic, but yeah, well, have a chat in email, mate, please. Mogster says, oh, before we get to Mogster's one, we've got Luke with a super chat. Thank you, Luke. I will try BP, thanks. I have a cheese fridge too, by the way. Oh, very cool. Thanks, mate. Yeah, so check those out. All right. Back to the other questions. We're talking to... Where is it? It's here somewhere. Mogster was the next question. You do have some great videos, Gavin. Just stop by to say thanks. Midnight in Sweden, so time to go to sleep. Have a good day. Thanks, Mogster. Appreciate it. Andrea says, have you ever considered making brunost? I think that's how you pronounce it. Brunost is a Norwegian brown cheese. And in fact, is it Norwegian? Yeah, Norwegian name for mysost, which I have made. So Kim, if you can put the video for mysost up, which is whey cheese. It's a brown sweet cheese, very delicious. It's worth making if you've got at least 6 to 8 litres of whey from a sweet cheese. So a cheese that's not acid set, or a pasta filata cheese, then you can actually boil away, at a simmer, boil away the whey, lots of wheys, and you get a brown caramel, lactosey sludge. Sludge is a bad word, but that's what it looks like at the bottom. You can add cream to it and even some sugar if you really want to, but there's so much lactose in it, it's a sweet cheese. Very nice. You can actually cut it or slice it. Sometimes it's made so it's like more of a paste. It tastes beautiful. But yes, there is a recipe, and if Kim can pop that up, that would be fantastic. Thanks, honey. Rocky says, I am making a goat Gouda. Will let all know how it goes. I had 3 more weeks to mature. Fantastic. Thank you, Rocky. Luke says, I think that chlorine question may be my fault. I asked the question on one of your videos today, then I asked some friends who are chemists and they told me exactly what Gav said. There you go. Thanks, mate. I did chemistry at high school and I really enjoyed it, actually. Bob and Barb, but I think it's Bob. Hi, Gavin. I made your farmhouse cheddar using MA 4001. Good choice for a farmhouse cheddar. I added 1 tablespoon of red chili flakes, simmered in a little water. It made an excellent cheese. I've already started another one. Fantastic. I highly recommend if you're making a stirred curd or farmhouse cheddar, then you use, this is a culture I use, is It's by Danisco Choose It. It's called MA 4001. There's another variant, 4002, exactly the same. It's just for phage control. And phage is when the lactic bacteria becomes resistant and doesn't work properly. So it's in commercial dairies. Don't worry about it so much for home cheese making. You won't have any issues with phage at all because you don't make enough cheese. But yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Bob. Well done. Luke says they are the same element but very different chemically. Indeed. Ruth says, thanks for getting the whey vid done. Yeah, I'm halfway through, Ruth. I've even got it on a timeline in Premiere Pro, so it's getting there. Gary says, hi Gavin, I recently watched your video on making Port Salut. Why did you keep washing off the orange rind that you typically see on store-bought cheese? A, it gets too smelly. B, it makes the cheese, internal part of the cheese, too runny, in my opinion. You can leave it on there if you want, but it starts to stink and it starts to make the cheese decay, which is a good thing because all cheese is just basically rotting milk when you think about it. But it slows down the progress or the virility, I would say, of the Brevibacteria linens. You're trying to control it. Ruth also says, when will the podcast be current? I love those. When they go current, will they still be every couple of days? Okay, so a couple of questions there. They will be current. Unfortunately, I can't look at it at the moment because I'm logged on with a different YouTube account because that channel has a different account. And if I do that, the live stream will finish. So I can't check. I do think it's near the end of June, though, Ruth. Episode 83 was the last one that I did record it, and they will be weekly, so they won't be every 2 days. There is no way on this earth that I would be able to record a podcast episode every 2 days, unless it's a 5-minute episode, which personally I don't find would have much value. So it will be once a week. It will be kind of like this, but pre-recorded, if that makes sense. So it will be me recording the podcast episode, have the same segments. It'll have what we did in cheese this week, or what I did in cheese this week. It'll have a news segment, which we'll talk about. It'll have listener questions that are audio. And what else? What else is that? Well, that's about it, really. Oh, sometimes I talk about... sometimes I could do an interview with a home cheese maker. So I will be reaching out soon to the community to see if anybody would like to be on the podcast, and that'll be on the podcast channel. And let me just pull up the link for that in case you didn't know we had a cheese making podcast, which is on a separate channel, by the way. Just pop that into the chat. There we go. So there's the link to the podcast channel. And just so everybody can see it, there it is. Wrong button. There we go. So that's the Little Green Cheese podcast hosted by Gavin Weber. We're currently up to episode number 73, so there's 10 to go. 10 to go before it becomes current, if that makes sense. But lots of great episodes there. So I really enjoy doing that podcast. Have been putting on the back burner at the moment due to Kim's chemo. Anyway, well, let's get out of that. That's the back end of YouTube. Alrighty. We've got 10 minutes to go, so let me just pull up the gallery for today so we can see all our lovely cheese makers. We've got 2 pictures today. This one's from Patricia Gauchi, who's on the chat. There we go. There's Patricia. She's making kafili. So she's just actually at that stage where she is crumbling up the curds to before she puts it into the mould. So I believe that's right, Patricia. But anyway, lovely to see Patricia's smiling face there. And Patricia, thank you so much for that video message you sent me for my birthday yesterday. It warmed the cockles of my heart with you playing your serpent trumpet. Very, very cool. Never seen one before. Amazing. Anyway, on to the next picture is from Ruth Cohen. Let's have a look. Ruth has sent me a picture of her Morbier that she's made. Where are we? There we go. It has a line in the middle. I like that. But I think you got a bit of ash on the outside, which is perfectly fine, Ruth. It won't detract from the flavour at all. It will still be an amazing cheese. But I love that mould that you're using. It looks kind of like a what is it? A Manchego mould. I think it's a clothless mould. I think you told me. Very cool. Very cool indeed. But well done. So they're the two photos for the gallery today. If you've got any cheese making pictures, don't forget to send them to me. You can either go via littlegreencheese.com. There's an about page or a contact page there where you can send me an email and I'll reply back. Don't ask a question because I've got like 50 questions a day. I just can't get to them, honestly. That's why I do Ask the Cheeseman. And if you've got a question, ask it here. This is where to ask your questions. I just don't have enough hours in the day to answer, 10 questions a day via email, unfortunately. But you got pictures, send the pictures through. I love the pictures. They are so good. They warm the cockles of my heart. They really do make not only the live stream, but making the videos all worthwhile because I love to see other people creating things from the instructions that I make and use, the video tutorials. It's very cool. Alrighty, 9 minutes to go, and I'm at the 8:21 mark as far as the questions go. Let's have a look. There is another question here. So that was Ruth's question, was the last one. Thank you, Ruth, for prompting that. Z says, hello, Gavin. My traditional mozzarella always turns out rubbery and tough. How to make it soft and juicy? Use buffalo milk. If you're not using buffalo milk, then you're not going to get that soft and juicy mozzarella that you see them make in Italy or anywhere else where they use buffalo milk. That is the key to making a soft and juicy mozzarella. All mozzarella made with cow's milk, you're never going to find the same texture as buffalo milk. That's just the way it is. The foreigner says, I've been obsessed with your farmhouse cheddar blue. Any other cheeses that are good to hybridize with blue? Yeah, I did a Gouda. That was a blue Gouda. That was very good. Kim, if you can pop up the link for the blue Gouda, that would be very helpful. Thank you very much. Michael says, G'day, Kim and Gavin. Sorry I'm late. Hope and pray all is well. Kim, yes. She's doing all right. One thing I did forget to mention, Curd Nerds, and I know this is a fairly tight-knit community, which I do love, is that Kim has finished her chemotherapy treatment. So all the nasty drugs that you associate with chemotherapy, she's finished. She finished 2 sessions, well, two sessions ago, a week ago. We went into the hospital expecting to get the last drug called Taxol. She had 2 more sessions to go. The oncologist said, no, let's stop it now, because she was getting some, I hope you don't mind me sharing, Kim, but she was getting some numbness in her fingers and her toes. There's nerve damage could occur if we continued with the treatment. So it was a risk versus reward proposition. Do we continue on with the Taxol for the last 2 sessions, or do we stop now to prevent any permanent nerve damage? So it's going to take about 2 months for that nerve damage to actually go away. So she's dealing with that at the moment, poor girl. But we still have to go back to the oncology ward every 3 weeks to get a targeted therapy called Herceptin. That goes on until February. She's got another surgery coming up. She's got radiotherapy still to go through. So the cancer treatment's not all finished, unfortunately, but thank goodness the chemotherapy part of her treatment has finished. Anyway, so that's some good news. Last couple of questions before we finish today, because I really want to get Kimmy back into bed and get some rest. Dylan says, "Hey Gavin, I just started to make cheese and wondering what would be a good starter." Kimmy, if you can put that link to the 10 starter cheeses without a fridge for Dylan, please, and he can go through that video and enjoy that. Lieutenant Bork says, cheese is brilliant. Yes, it is indeed. Spread the word of the curd nerds. All very cool. Marie says, can I age all kinds of cheese in one cheese fridge or cave, or do I need a separate aging space for bloomy rinds, blues, and long-aged cheeses? No, you don't. Just use the ripening boxes that I showed before, and that separates the different cheeses, gives them enough humidity, and that's how I separate. So I can have in my cheese fridge a blue, a white rind, a white bloomy rind, and so naturally aging cheese without any cross-contamination. So that's why they're in the ripening boxes. When you open the ripening boxes, don't open them in the fridge, because you're trying to stop the moulds from spreading from one cheese to the other. Take them into your kitchen, put them on the bench. That's where you do your work for your cheese, your affinage, cleaning, washing, whatever you're doing, and then close it up and then put it back in the cheese fridge. Big mistake I made once, so learn from my mistakes. So yes, you can definitely just use maturation boxes in the cheese fridge. Mick D says, I really want to see a full burrata recipe. So do I. I would love to see burrata. I'm going to have to get buffalo milk, I think, to make that work properly. Otherwise, it's not going to be a proper burrata. Adam says, just saying hi. I hope you and your wife are doing well. Did you hear about the testing of breast cancer vaccine that is being tested in Australia? It is meant to prevent reoccurrence. Oh, that's interesting. We'll look that up. Thanks very much, Adam. Mark says, why is calcium chloride added to milk to make cheese? It's added to firm up the curd structure. During pasteurisation, which a lot of the milk that home cheese makers use is pasteurised milk, the heating process destroys some of the calcium in the milk. So when you add rennet to that milk, the pasteurised milk, the curd structure is not very firm. It can be quite sloppy in some instances. So when you add back calcium chloride, before you add the rennet, it actually adds some soluble calcium back into the milk, and it can form using the casein K protein, it can form the curd matrix a lot better. So that's why we do it. We get good cheese when we use calcium chloride. It's just a mineral salt, very similar to sodium chloride, which is table salt. You taste it, it tastes salty. There's nothing wrong with it. Ruth says, I left my curd nerd mug in the office. Haven't been there for 9 weeks. The coffee doesn't taste good in any other cup. I hope you can ship soon. Ruth, all of the merch is shipping. There's no problems with that. That comes from the US anyway. It's via Teespring. So you can pop to the merch shelf, buy yourself another mug if you want to. No obligation, of course. Just go down there, go to the Teespring store. There's links in the video below to the full merch store at Teespring /Cheeseman. And Kim will put the link up in a minute. She probably already has, because I'm running over time. But yeah, you can buy the merch. That's no hassle. We don't ship the merch from here. It's shipped by a third party. So go merch. Everybody, you can buy anything you want. Okay, all right. So we're at the end of the show. Kim's giving me the wind up because she wants to go back to bed. So thank you, everybody. And thank you all for the birthday wishes and all the lovely super chats. I really appreciate it. Kim says, Ruth says, I just ordered 3 mugs. Well done. Well done indeed. Yeah, so Kim needs her sleep. So you can visit our store, littlegreenworkshops.com.au. Let's go back to the homepage so everybody can see that. That's it. So not only do we have, ship it in domestically at the moment, but we've got cheese making supplies, candle, body bath, soap, and brewing. We've got that. But the cheese shop has all the good stuff in it. It's got everything you need: kits, moulds, cultures, rennet, equipment, baskets, ingredients, some books, and a link to the merch store. So it's not merch that has been sent from us. So it's cool. So the link to the merch store there and the Patreon, and don't forget YouTube memberships. If you want to support the show financially, really appreciate it. Curd nerds and curd nerdettes, I really do appreciate your time. Without your questions, wouldn't have a show. Wouldn't have a show every week. Hopefully we'll have a show next Sunday. Kim's getting better as we go along every week. Before I go, just want to see there's the cheese doggo. Holly, what are you doing? Say good day to everybody. Anyway, that's Holly the cheese dog. Teddy has just had a haircut. He doesn't smell anymore. But yeah, West Highland Terry, he's sitting over there somewhere in a different bed. Anyway, thanks everybody. Really appreciate it. And thank you so much for the kind birthday wishes. I really appreciate it. Anyway, that's the show for the week. I'll see you next week. And watch out for the marinated feta video, which I'm going to be working on today. Hopefully get it up tonight for patrons and YouTube members, early access. And then it'll be released 24 hours after that. Anyway, thanks for watching, Curd Nerds. See you next time.